In the bustling studio of ABC's The View, the atmosphere was electric as the hosts gathered for what promised to be another lively episode filled with hot topics, celebrity guests, and unfiltered opinions. Joy Behar, the sharp-tongued veteran co-host known for her no-nonsense attitude and quick wit, took her seat at the iconic round table alongside Whoopi Goldberg, Sunny Hostin, Sarah Haynes, and Alyssa Farah-Griffin. The audience buzzed with anticipation, clapping enthusiastically as the theme music swelled and the cameras rolled live across the nation. Little did anyone know that this particular broadcast would go down in daytime television history for all the wrong reasons. The guest of the day was none other than Kevin Spacey, the Oscar-winning actor whose career had been marred by serious allegations of misconduct in recent years, leading to a highly publicized fall from grace. Spacey, attempting a comeback with a new project, had agreed to appear on the show to discuss his side of the story, his latest endeavors, and perhaps seek some redemption in the public eye. As the segment began, Whoopi introduced him with her signature warmth, shaking his hand and settling into the conversation. The initial exchanges were cordial, with Spacey charming the panel with anecdotes from his Hollywood heyday, referencing iconic roles in films like The Usual Suspects and American Beauty. But tension simmered beneath the surface, especially from Joy, who had never shied away from calling out what she perceived as hypocrisy or injustice. As the discussion shifted to topics of accountability in the entertainment industry, Joy leaned forward, her eyes narrowing, and launched into a pointed question about the allegations against him. "Kevin, with everything that's come out, how do you justify coming back into the spotlight like this? Don't you think victims deserve more than just another press tour?" she asked, her voice steady but laced with unmistakable disdain. Spacey, caught off guard but maintaining his composure, responded with a rehearsed deflection, emphasizing his legal acquittals and the importance of due process. The audience murmured, sensing the brewing storm. Sunny chimed in with a legal perspective, trying to balance the dialogue, while Sarah attempted to steer it toward lighter fare. But Joy wasn't having it. She pressed on, interrupting Spacey mid-sentence with a barrage of follow-ups that grew increasingly heated. "You've been accused by multiple people, Kevin. This isn't just one isolated incident. How can you sit here and act like it's all behind you?" Her words hung in the air like a challenge, and Spacey's face tightened, his charming facade cracking under the pressure. He countered sharply, accusing Joy of bias and sensationalism, claiming the media had already tried and convicted him without evidence. The back-and-forth escalated rapidly, with voices rising and gestures becoming more animated. Whoopi tried to intervene, calling for a commercial break, but the damage was done. The studio fell into a stunned silence as the argument reached its peak, Joy slamming her hand on the table for emphasis, her frustration boiling over from years of advocating for women's rights and against powerful men who evade consequences. Spacey, red-faced and indignant, shot back with personal jabs, questioning Joy's own career longevity and relevance in today's media landscape. The audience gasped, some cheering Joy's boldness, others shocked by the raw confrontation unfolding live on air. As the clash intensified, it became clear this wasn't just a debate, it was a full-blown meltdown that threatened to derail the entire show. Producers scrambled behind the scenes, whispering urgently into earpieces, but the live feed continued, capturing every unscripted moment for millions of viewers at home. The heated exchange between Joy Behar and Kevin Spacey continued to spiral out of control, transforming the typically structured talk show into a chaotic spectacle that no one could look away from. Joy, fueled by her passion for justice and her history of outspoken commentary on social issues, refused to back down, her New York accent thickening with emotion as she dissected Spacey's responses. "You're talking about due process? What about the due process for the people who came forward, risking everything to speak their truth?" she demanded, her finger pointing accusatorially across the table. Spacey, a master of dramatic delivery from his acting days, leaned back in his chair with a smirk that only infuriated Joy further, retorting that the court of public opinion was not a real court and that he had been exonerated. The other hosts jumped in, with Alyssa trying to play devil's advocate by noting the complexities of such cases, but Joy shot her a withering glance, muttering under her breath about enabling behavior. Whoopi, ever the moderator, raised her hands in a plea for calm, but the verbal fireworks showed no signs of stopping. Viewers at home flooded social media with reactions. Hashtags like #Joy vs Kevin trending almost immediately as clips of the argument went viral. Back in the studio, the audience was divided as some applauded Joy's tenacity, chanting her name softly, while others booed, perhaps fans of Spacey's work or believers in second chances. The tension peaked when Spacey made a snide remark about Joy's age and her outdated views, suggesting she was out of touch with modern nuances. That was the breaking point. Joy's face flushed with rage, and she stood up abruptly, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. "I've had enough of this nonsense. If this is what The View has become, a platforming people like you without real accountability, then count me out," she declared, her voice echoing through the set. The camera panned to the shocked faces of her co-hosts, Whoopi looking bewildered, Sunny covering her mouth in disbelief. Producers rushed onto the set during what should have been a seamless transition, but the live broadcast captured it all. Joy ripping off her microphone pack, tossing it onto the table with a clatter, and storming off stage, her heels clicking decisively as she disappeared behind the curtains. The audience erupted into a mix of cheers and gasps, the energy in the room palpable even through television screens. Spacey sat there, stunned, attempting to laugh it off with a nervous chuckle, but the damage to his imagia and the showsa was irreversible. Whoopi, composing herself quickly, addressed the camera with an apology for the interruption and promised to return after a break, but the internet was already ablaze with speculation. Was this Joy's final straw after years of on-air battles and behind-the-scenes frustrations? Rumors had swirled for months about her potential retirement, given her age and the evolving dynamics of the show, but no one expected it to end like these, in a blaze of glory or infamy, depending on one's perspective. As the commercial rolled, staff huddled, discussing damage control, while Joy, in her dressing room, paced furiously, regretting nothing but wondering if this impulsive act would define her legacy. In the aftermath of Joy Behar's dramatic walkout, the remaining hosts of The View attempted to salvage the episode, but the shadow of the confrontation loomed large over everything that followed. Whoopi Goldberg, taking charge with her seasoned poise, explained to the audience and viewers that emotions had run high and that the show valued passionate discourse, even when it got messy. Kevin Spacey, still seated but visibly uncomfortable, tried to pivot the conversation back to his new project, a independent film he was promoting, but the questions from the panel felt half-hearted, the earlier spark extinguished by Joy's absence. Sunny Hostin interjected with pointed remarks about the importance of believing survivors, subtly aligning with Joy's stance without directly attacking the guest. Sarah Haynes lightened the mood with a joke about needing more coffee for such intense mornings, eliciting awkward laughter from the crowd. Alyssa Farah Griffin offered a balanced view, acknowledging the legal outcomes but stressing societal responsibility. Yet, the elephant in the room was Joy's empty chair, a stark reminder of the rupture that had just occurred. Behind the scenes, executive producer Brian Teta was in crisis mode, fielding calls from network executives and publicists, while Joy's representatives were already drafting statements. Social media exploded with memes, fan theories, and divided opinions, some hailing Joy as a hero for standing up to what they saw as Hollywood's redemption tour for the undeserving, others criticizing her for unprofessionalism and bias. Clips of the clash racked up millions of views on platforms like TikTok and YouTube, with commentators dissecting every word, gesture, and facial expression. Kevin Spacey's team issued a swift statement post-show, decrying the ambush and emphasizing his innocence, but it did little to stem the tide of backlash. For Joy, this wasn't her first rodeo. Over her decades on the show, she clashed with politicians, celebrities, and even her co-hosts, from Meghan McCain to Elizabeth Hasselbeck, but this felt different, more personal, more final. As the episode wrapped without her return, whispers circulated that this could indeed be her exit, especially amid reports of contract negotiations and her expressed desire to focus on other ventures like stand-up comedy and writing. The View's ratings skyrocketed that day, proving once again that controversy sells. But at what cost? Fans flooded the show's official accounts with demands for Joy's return or explanations, while detractors called for her firing. In interviews later that week, though the script imagines the immediate fallout, Joy might reflect on the moment with her trademark humor, saying something like, "I didn't quit, I just needed a longer bathroom break." But in reality, the incident highlighted deeper issues in media, the balance between entertainment, journalism, and activism. As the day unfolded, late-night hosts like Jimmy Fallon and Stephen Colbert prepared monologues poking fun at the drama, ensuring it would dominate headlines for days. The ripple effects of Joy Behar's on-air quitting extended far beyond the studio walls, sparking a national conversation about accountability, celebrity comebacks, and the role of talk shows in shaping public discourse. Media outlets from CNN to Fox News dissected the event, with pundits debating whether Joy's outburst was justified or an overreach. Supporters praised her for embodying the spirit of the View, unapologetic, feminist, and fierce, while critics accused her of grandstanding and disrespecting a guest. Kevin Spacey, meanwhile, found himself back in the unwelcome spotlight. His attempted rehabilitation tour derailed as old allegations resurfaced in fresh articles and think pieces. His publicist worked overtime to spin the narrative, portraying him as the victim of a hostile environment, but social media users weren't buying it, with #BoycottSpacey trending alongside #StandWithJoy. The View's producers faced internal scrutiny, questioning how the segment was vetted and why tensions weren't diffused sooner. Whoopi Goldberg, in a post-show huddle, expressed concern for her longtime colleague, texting Joy to check in amid the chaos. Joy, holed up in her Manhattan apartment, watched the replays with a mix of pride and regret, fielding calls from friends like Barbara Walters, the show's creator, who offered sage advice on navigating scandals. This wasn't Joy's first controversy. Her career was dotted with bold statements, from criticizing political figures to sharing personal anecdotes that sometimes crossed lines. But quitting Live, that was unprecedented, even for her. As evening fell, tabloids speculated on her next move, via perhaps a tell-all book, a podcast, or even a rival show. ABC executives scrambled to address the void, considering guest hosts or reshuffling the panel, all while monitoring viewer feedback. The incident also reignited discussions about ageism in television, with Joy at 83 representing a generation of trailblazers unwilling to fade quietly. In the broader cultural context, it mirrored other high-profile clashes, like Oprah's interviews or Ellen's fall from grace, underscoring the fragility of public personas. Fans organized online petitions for Joy's return, while detractors started counter-campaigns. Kevin Spacey retreated to privacy, his film promotion stalled, pondering if the appearance was worth the renewed scrutiny. The View soldiered on in subsequent episodes, with the hosts addressing the elephant in the room humorously, but the chemistry felt off without Joy's biting commentary. Ultimately, this clash became a case study in media ethics classes, examining boundaries between confrontation and civility. Weeks after the infamous clash, reflections on Joy Behar's departure from The View painted a picture of a woman who had given her all to the show for over 2 decades, only to reach a boiling point that no one saw coming. In exclusive interviews imagined here for dramatic effect, Joy opened up about the incident, admitting that her frustration with Kevin Spacey stemmed from a deeper well of disappointment in how society handles powerful men's misdeeds. "I've seen too many comebacks without real remorse," she might say, sipping coffee in her cozy home, surrounded by memorabilia from her comedy days. Her co-hosts publicly supported her, with Whoopi calling her a force of nature and Sunny praising her integrity. Yet, behind closed doors, there were tensions. Some felt Joy's exit disrupted the show's flow, leading to awkward episodes filled with filler segments. Ratings dipped initially but rebounded with curiosity-driven viewership, proving the adage that all publicity is good publicity. Kevin Spacey, licking his wounds, focused on low-key projects, avoiding talk shows altogether. The event inspired parodies on Saturday Night Live, with impersonators nailing Joy's accent and Spacey's mannerisms, turning tragedy into comedy gold. For Joy, live post-View meant freedom and more time for her husband, writing her memoir, and guest spots on other programs where she could speak freely without network constraints. The clash also prompted industry-wide soul-searching, Should shows like The View prioritize entertainment over hard-hitting journalism, or is the blend what makes them iconic? As time passed, Joy's legacy solidified as the unfiltered voice of a generation, her quitting moment etched in TV lore alongside other dramatic exits like Rosie O'Donnell's multiple departures. Fans missed her daily presence, but her influence lingered in every heated debate on the show. Looking back on the Joy Behar Kevin Spacey saga, it serves as a timeless reminder of the volatile intersection between celebrity, media, and morality in American culture. What started as a routine interview devolved into a defining moment that reshaped careers and sparked enduring debates. Joy, ever the resilient New Yorker, bounced back stronger, launching a successful podcast where she dissected current events with her signature sarcasm, amassing a loyal following that rivaled her View days. Kevin Spacey faded further from the limelight, his comeback thwarted, a cautionary tale for others in similar predicaments. The View evolved, introducing new hosts to fill the void, but none quite captured Joy's irreplaceable spark. In the end, the clash wasn't just about two personalities colliding, it was about broader societal reckonings with power, forgiveness, and the cost of speaking truth to it. Years later, clips still circulate, inspiring new generations of outspoken women in media. Joy's quit, though impulsive, became her most powerful statement yet.